So then, what is your definition of lawful neutral?
Lawful neutral. Lawful neutral is, well, yeah, but what lawful neutral does is it says good and evil are not important, only the law. It doesn't matter. It does not matter if it is for good or for ill. The law is the law. You know, and that's actually what the saying it means. You know, this is the law for good or ill, and that is an example of lawful neutral. Someone who is lawful neutral could be monks have the most. You know, I think they have the greater connection to flexible law, because some monasteries are lawful evil in that, you know, they want their monastery to be the greatest monastery of all, and they will actively attempt to wipe out other monasteries, like that monastery that Akathan fought.
Yeah, because he was like, oh, this is a monastery of evil.
Evil must be destroyed.
And then they came rushing at him, and it was like the end scene of the movie The One.
Yeah, it was. And he killed every one of them, like 170.
Every one of them. With a flurry, like 3 or 4 flurry of blows. He just decimated them.
Yeah, he did. He decimated them to...
decimation.
Well, there was not 10% of them left.
So lawful neutral is a person who completely follows the law regardless of what it is.
Exactly.
I think
so
a judge,
what does that make?
Like going off of professions, it would be a judge in the court of law would be
right.
He doesn't make the law; he just has to enforce it.
He has to enforce it, whether he lets pedophiles free or sentences. Like there was a case where a dude was like on parole, and he saved like these 4 kids from this burning building, and somehow that broke his parole, and
he left it like he was under house
arrest or something. Yeah, and he saved these kids from a burning building, and they arrested him and threw him back in jail.
Yeah, because that was the law.
Yeah, it was the law. And that was for ill, because the dude was a hero. I mean, he literally risked his life to save these kids when anyone else under that same situation might have said, nah, I can't do that because I'll get caught, you know, out of my jurisdiction or whatever.
Yeah.
Or whatever. He might have crossed state lines or something, you know. But regardless of what happened, the judge had to sentence him.
Yeah.
I think the judge sentenced him light because, you know, the law is the law, period.
Right.
So what does that make a lawful evil?
A lawful evil would be someone who uses the law to their own gain. Like you said, lawyers. Lawyers would be a great example of, you know, I'm going to form a class action suit to sue all these people for this horrible thing, and take 70% of the settlement.
That's lawful evil.
That would be lawful evil.
No, yeah. I meant to say. I mean, neutral evil.
Neutral evil.
Well, I feel like the lawfuls are. Those 3 alignments are very distinct. You could clean cut.
Chaotic evil is what chaotic neutral is what I'm saying. Because that's the 2 spectrums.
Well, let me. This is my point of view on this. Is that for the lawful trio, it's a trio. It's 3 points, and it very seldom crosses, if anything, because I mean, lawful good, and lawful neutral, lawful evil. They can kind of waffle depending, but there's hardly any gray area for the chaos for that spectrum. And the neutral, it's like the chaos spectrum, and it's like a slider. It can go anywhere, and right in between is the neutrals.
Yeah.
So you said that chaotic neutral is the hardest one to play, and why is that?
Because it's unpredictable. I mean, with chaotic neutral, law doesn't matter, good and evil doesn't matter. So, you know, you do whatever you want, whenever you want to, regardless of the consequences or the outcome. So
what's the difference between chaotic neutral and chaotic evil?
Chaotic evil is law does not matter. You use anarchy and chaos. You know, you break all the rules. Rules do not matter at all for your own gain. A chaotic neutral character might just sacrifice their lives to save a burning building. Save a burning building from
Burning building must live!
to save a burning building from a bunch of orphans. They may sacrifice themselves to save a bunch of orphans from a burning building.
Okay.
Or they might not. It's totally a matter of, whatever they feel like doing. Very capricious, like the Fae.
And it seems like when a lot of people think of the evil spectrum, lawful evil, neutral evil, and chaotic evil, they're thinking of, like we said earlier,
like
stabbing
cut.
babies and
Right.
It's they think it's like a clean cut definition.
Yeah.
Like set in stone. They think it's much like the lawful spectrum,
Right.
where these things are as they are. But that's the thing, is that lawful that's how law is. That's how it is, regardless of all these other things.
Yeah.
Chaos, you gotta have. It's chaos. It's unpredictable, and there's all these individual like points and parts to it that you just. There's influences that can make your, like, chaotic evil. It doesn't make you chaotic malicious. It makes you chaotic
selfish.
Yeah.
That's what people seem to. I think that's what people don't understand when it comes to the evil side. It's not being violent physically.
Violent?
Violent physically. It's
can be
just
red.
it's just selfishness. It's not, you're not out there, murdering people or just being an evil person.
It just makes you, like, you're not going to stick your neck out for anybody if it means that you're going to get in trouble.
Well, a really good example of chaotic good and lawful evil would be Robin Hood. Chaotic good, against the establishment for the people, put his own neck out for the people of Sherwood Forest, and the sheriff of Nottingham, who was very, very wicked, very selfish man who used the law to oppress and all that. So So the law is how you and it's really it's not what you do, it's why you do it. And that is, a lot of that is true in real life as well. What you do, there are people who steal, for example. Well, if a person steals so they can, feed their kids or whatever, they're doing what they have to survive. Whereas someone who steals to hawk the goods to go buy, crack or whatever, that ain't cool.
So when you have an
selfish.
alignment, it's very important to not just stop there with the character you're inspecting. It's not, the alignment is, oh, they're neutral evil, well, I have to kill them now because they're neutral evil. You can't just stop there. You have to understand why they're neutral evil. And if when you have a character and when you have another player and they say, I'm this character and my alignment is, you should cut them off, because you don't need to know their alignment word for word. You should know their personality, because the alignment on the character sheet is for you, for role-playing reasons, for no other reason other than that.
It's not for other people to make a predisposed opinion of you before you even start playing.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's for dungeon mastering tools also. Like if you're lawful good and he has an evil character, then that has to be vanquished. But it's not for player v player. If they for them to judge one another, that should be left for role playing and dealing with each other in game. So say like chaotic evil and neutral evil. Chaotic evil and neutral evil doesn't necessarily mean bad. It means that they're just conceited. So, which is the point that we're trying to reiterate here.
Which I always kind of wondered, why does paladins do extra damage against evil when they're technically only doing extra damage against people that are selfish? Like if there's no evil intent.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point because Batman said, wasn't it Batman who said, you know, if you kill a killer, there's still the equal number of killers in the world. And the Punisher said, that's why I kill lots and lots of killers. And that's the thing. That's the other thing about it is that if you are lawful evil, or if you're an evil character,
wouldn't they both be considered chaotic good though? Batman
and the Punisher?
I feel like they would.
Well, there's also two different magazines, two different companies.
Yeah, but
yes.
Or would he be chaotic neutral? The Punisher.
The Punisher.
Because Batman's good. He's good aligned.
Well, the Punisher might be more of a lawful, but he's got his own...
The Punisher is the judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah, he's got his own internal set of more ethics.
As when Batman will just turn the criminals into the Commissioner Gordon, where the Punisher plays judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Batman's kind of lawful in that he has his own rules, like no guns,
right.
No killing.
They both have their own very, very distinct...
And then you have...
set of ethics.
Superman is lawful good.
Yeah.
Truth, justice, and the American way. Yeah. So, but in that same light,
illegal alien.
Yeah, he is.
Quite literally.
In that same light, there is nothing stopping a lawful evil or an evilly aligned character from fighting other evil, I read a story in a creepy magazine or an eerie magazine years and years ago about this guy who was he was a preacher, and his whole thing was he would wring his hands and say, "Gotta cleanse the world of evil," and he would do some of the most horrendous things to do that. You know, if he found somebody with evil, and he actually had a gift, he was psychically endowed with a gift that he could detect. He could, see who was guilty. And since everybody is a little bit guilty of something in varying degrees, he went nuts. And he would burn down an orphanage to kill the headmaster, for example.
Good God.
Because the headmaster was, molesting the children or something. And so this dude was totally freaking evil. But he hated evil to the point where he would, do stuff like that.
Right.
And his hatred for evil is what made him evil. So the whole thing, it can be this totally...
It's intertwined.
Yeah, totally interconnected and entwined concept. So, it's not like a lot of people that I've gamed with, they'll be like... an evil character shirt-tailing along with a bunch of good characters, and they'll meet like a gang of orcs and immediately think that they're buddies.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm evil. You're evil. I'm evil too. Hey, let's be friends.
Or they think it's cool to be evil. Malicious. Because their definition of evil is such a cookie cutter,
right,
cold cut definition.
Right.
And it's like there's so much more complexity to it than that.
It is. It's very deep. It is a very deep thing. It's like when you had like bands in the late 70s, early 80s, like AC/DC, who a lot of people say that AC/DC stands for Antichrist Devil Child, which whatever, it's subjective. And then
alternating current and direct current.
Well, that's what I thought too, but but then you started getting all of these we're evil hair bands, and it's like we're evil because we're destroying the ozone with all the hairspray we use.
We're Satan's children.
We're Satan's children, and we're very glamorous as I polish up my glove. The chrome on my glove and
my spikes
my
and stuff.
Spikes are evil. Yeah, that's what we call a poser. And
we all have those in all of the generations.
Yeah. And then there was also one of the Omen movies with the dude, I can't even think of his name. What's his name? The guy that played in the Jurassic Park. The main scientist. I can't think of his name. I apologize. I'm usually pretty good with movies, but he was playing Damien. He was playing the Antichrist, And he was talking to this person who said that she was evil and unworthy and all this stuff. And he said, "You're not evil." He said, "People often mistakes their petty lusts and perversions for evil, where true evil is as pure as the driven snow." And it really made me think about it.
That's a very profound thing to say.
Yeah, it really was. It really was profound. And she was just like, "Oh, well, okay."
So
I guess my guilt is just religion-based.
AKA, you're trying too hard.
You're trying too hard. Exactly. So, if you really break it down, evil is just being selfish. Good is just being selfless. Law is obeying the laws. Chaos is not.
Or obeying, well, I mean, that's law and chaos can, when trying to put characters specifically in them, just like with Batman, it's like, is he chaotic or is he lawful? Because even though chaotic means that he doesn't abide by the law, he has his own set of rules,
Which makes him very lawful.
exactly. So that's also kind of hard to define.
Yeah.
A whole thing is complex.
Is the wolf a savior or a healer or a demon? You know, it's like
Good and evil are all relatives, and are good
all
and evil
relatives?
are all relatives.
or Aunt Evil, Uncle Chaotic Neutral.
Everybody has an Aunt Evil.
with their sister Jerry, they don't really talk about her.
But, as we said before, good and evil are all relative. And thanks to you, I don't know what I was going to say after.
But yeah, good and evil is and law and chaos are very subjective because you don't know if that character. And I guess if you really pay attention to it, then the dungeon master should actually have a sliding scale where you know, if you share just your information with the dungeon master, then the dungeon master should keep track of where you stand in your morals and ethics.
That's actually a cool idea where you get plus or minus to good or evil depending on, and if you like cross a line, you're like, and then the dungeon master says you're now chaotic instead of being lawful, or you're now neutral instead of good.
I have done that before but only when it really counts for the class, because like the priest, the paladin, those two guys, anything where it says in the rules that the character must be,
like a monk has to be lawful.
Monk has to be lawful. If they act too chaotic, then they'll get disavowed by their monastery or whatever and lose their monkly abilities.
Yeah.
Same thing with a paladin, with a cleric, you know, and other things that you know.
And
even a ranger. I think the ranger used to have to be good, of a good alignment.
I think in the 3.5 it
But
has to be.
then you also move on to
I'm looking for the book.
then you also move on to the different
Paranoid.
the different classes, because you know you have the paladins of slaughter, paladins of tyranny, clerics of evil.
Merrill.
Yeah, sure.
Or yeah.
Macabre.
Yeah, because their gods are what give them their abilities, and interesting though. That brings up a really interesting point, because again in a creepy magazine years ago, there was a series called Darklon the Mystic, and Darklon was a dude who went to this evil. He summoned a demon. And the demon said, you know, "Why do you seek me?" And he said, "Well, I seek vengeance on someone who did wrong and is doing wrong to a bunch of people." So he said, "It's really weird that I'm coming to you for help because I want to do good for the world." And the demon said, "That's wonderful. Some of the greatest atrocities that have ever been committed by man have been done in the name of good. Initiate him." And all these demons got him, and they took him and they cut his head off, and then they put him back together, and he became Darklon the Mystic.
Wow.
And so there you go. I mean, that
would actually be a very cool, like, just a continuation. A continuatious? We're just awful. We're awful today.
We're not doing well.
A continuous comic series about this good character who aligns with the evil character so that good can be done more so.
Yeah, because you could only get the kind of power that he wanted. You'd only get through evil means.
Right. I actually had a character about normally when it comes to characters and their alignment, you have to be careful to make sure that you don't do it. Like with our friend's character or post-friend character, she was a paladin, and yet she hid from battle when her sword broke. So,
oh man,
that her
that should have lost her paladin status.
Yeah,
immediately.
But
act of cowardice. It's very selfish.
It really. It shifted her alignment, but I had a character who did that on his own, where I was willingly shifting his character, and it was, I had a rogue half-orc, of course, and his name was Alexander, and he was Alec for short, and he was this big, badass, macho man, and I specifically rolled him up to be a punk. No, he was an idiot. And he was like, you know what, I'm gonna fight this character that's 3 levels higher than me, and you know what, I'll do what I want. Almost got his ass killed. And then on their mission, because they eventually, teamed up, he found a golden feather. And he's like, oh, I'm going to appraise this. And it was like 10,000 gold pieces. And he's like, yeah. And he pockets that. And then they found another one and another one. And then they just found more and more until at the end of the trail of feathers, there was a dying angel that had been plucked clean. And he was like, these feathers are from an angel. And his heart just broke open like an egg. and he picked the angel up and was like, I must nurture her. I have to take her back to my clan and give her to my Oma and make sure that she's taken care of. And his alignment changed like that.
Wow.
And he went from neutral evil to lawful good overnight.
Yep.
So it's a very... Not only is it such a fluctuating thing to have to make sure that you play it like you have to play it justly in game, but it can change too very drastically.
I had a situation like that where I actually changed the alignment of the player because he was playing an evil character and he wanted to amass all this power. So Nerol was the god he worshipped, and his character worshipped Nerol, and Nerol told him, he said, you have to go to this abbey and you have to kill the abbess, she is the holiest person on earth, or on this world right now, and if you kill her, then my power will grow, and then I will give you what you need. He said you have to kill her with your axe and sling her blood on the wall, on the door of the abbey, and say, die, holy bitch. And he went, and this old lady opened the door, and he said, I am seeking the head abbess. And she said, well, that would be me. And she was like 80 years old. And he's like, I challenge you. And she's like, oh. And then he realized that she was just an old lady. She was an old nun. And she had no powers. She was not a character class. She was just she was a commoner.
See, this is just killing the good in me.
He killed her. He chopped her head off and slung the blood on the door and said that. And then he quit gaming, and he became a devout Catholic after that. And I'm not even kidding. And it was a really interesting thing. And I said, why did you do that if you didn't want to? And he said, I was playing my character. And he said, that was just too much for me. That I couldn't do it, and he carries his prayer beads with him. I guess he's atoning for his character's sin. But it can be really life altering. It was crazy, and maybe he's a little bit crazy as well. But
so in conclusion, everything is relative.
Everything is relatives. We're all related.
We all have that weird aunt.
If you go, that is true. That is absolutely true. Everything is relative. Everything is subjective.
Everybody's the hero of their own story.
Well, that sometimes, most of the time.
Everybody sees himself as the good guy most of the time.
That is actually true. I don't know anyone who would realistically go out and say, I want to wreak evil on the world. They're all saying, I want to be the best. I want to be the biggest.
I want to be the best. No one ever was. Da, da, da. Okay, continue. The Pokemans came out,
right? And it's not what you do; it's why you do it. So if you're doing things for selfish reasons, if your character, not you, but if your character is doing something for selfish reasons, they may be evil.
I just realized that Ash Ketchum is probably evil.
What, you mean catching innocent animals and forcing them to fight each other till they die?
Because he wants to be the very best animal trainer.
Yeah, could be. But see, that's an entirely different set of sensibilities because that's Japanese.
Well, I mean,
Japanese. I mean, look at Princess Mononoke. There was 3 different factions, and they were all fighting for the good of their own faction, but they both looked like just abject evil to the other 2.
Yeah.
Each of them, like the Iron Town, she loved her people, but she was destroying the environment, and the people, the creatures of the woods were like, this evil has got to go.
Much like the deer and the wolf.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. All comes back around.
So subjective, complex, and that other one.
Malleable.
Yes, and relative.
And relatives.
So keep that in mind when you're rolling up your next character or when you play again, and tell us how it goes with all of this enlightenment upon you.
Upon thee, enlightenment upon thee. And have fun with it first and foremost. That's the rule.
It is just a game.
Yeah, and it's not. But it can't. It doesn't have to be a cookie cutter thing. It doesn't have to be a cookie cutter thing. And think about it. Put a little depth into it, and you'll get more out of it. Mm-hmm. The game gives what you put into it.
Well said.
Karma. Okay, so that is that. So on behalf of the whole cast and crew of the Dwarven Tavern, I am Dr. Jeff Gordons.
I am Lyric.
I'm Josh.
And we wish for you to want for nothing but adventure. And at first I feared it, then I charged. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.